All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our call with Caedan Wallace. As always, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. We will start with Tyler Donahue.
Caedan, good afternoon. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk this spring about searching for improvements with the run game. What do you think the offensive line and really that ground game as a whole with the running backs and tight ends have been able to accomplish during the spring?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely just getting a lot of good reps in, working on the fundamentals, and going back from last year's stuff and improving on it. Like really writing down exactly what we messed up on and making a direct effort to improve on it. Really just overall development as a group.
Rich Garcella.
Hi, Caedan. Thanks for doing this. How would you describe the improvements in the offense in the second year with Mike Yursich as coordinator?
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to what I said, we have more time and more film to go over and just specific things to work on that we fell short of last year.
Mark Brennan.
Caedan, Coach Franklin has talked often about the limited numbers you guys have kind of out there on the practice field at O-line. Does that make things more difficult in certain ways? And are there ways that maybe it makes things better in terms of getting more reps? Can you just take me through that? Thanks.
Yeah, I was definitely just going to say it's the way you look at it. The way that we look at it is that like we have more time and more reps. We can make a direct focus on things and we have more reps to go out and, directly improve on them.
Andrew Snyder.
Hey, Caedan, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. We've talked and heard a lot about Olu this spring and kind of how he's developed and grown. What has he done that's maybe impressed you so far with his development?
Yeah, I mean, Olu's been like good to me since he first got here. He's been developing at a really good rate. I'd say the thing that he does best is just, and it sounds more simple than it is, but like just taking things from the meetings to the practice field. And at least trying them out and, like really focusing on something like that. Olu's really good at that stuff.
Joe Smeltzer.
Caedan, from an individual standpoint, what do you think is the biggest improvement that you've made in your game from the end of last season to where the team is at this point in spring practice as it's wrapping up now?
I'd say I'm taking a big step just mentally, just my approach, and the way that affects me on the field, I guess. And really just, it goes into like with my hands and my feet and stuff, but just the mental approach to it. And just, like I said, that Olu does really well at taking the things from the meeting and putting on the practice field, something I'm really working on.
Andrew Dustin.
Caedan, I'm curious if at all throughout practice this spring, have you gone against Nick Tarbert? And then if so, how has he looked to you throughout these practices so far? Thanks.
Yeah, I go against Tarbert often, and Tarbert is developing really well. He's getting really good with his hands. And, me and him have always been competing since I first got here. So I think we've both been, building and working with each other, and he's a really good, opponent to have.
Tyler Donahue.
If I could stick on that subject, Caedan, you took a lot of reps against Adisa Isaac in your first couple of years on campus. He was off the field last year. What has he been like to deal with now that he's returned, and how maybe is he different than the last time he was on the practice field with you guys?
Yeah, so I think Adisa's time off, he got a lot of, good time for like mental work, really thinking through what he does with his hands and, his pass rush moves and stuff. And when he came back, it's really shown. It's really good to go against him. Because with him, you have to be really technically sound. Really, like that's the goal for any rep. But with him, if you're not technically sound, you're going to lose. So going against him in this spring has been really, really, really helpful.
Mark Brennan.
Caedan, are there any other guys over there on defense who are kind of standing out to you that maybe we wouldn't know much about because we haven't been at every practice? Thanks.
I'm honestly, it's really all the defensive guys that we have. Like they're improving every day, so it's kind of hard to like pinpoint specific guys. But I mean, I pretty much go against all the starting defensive linemen, second string defensive linemen, and our linebackers, and they're improving. They're really shifty guys. They work pass rush moves. They work moves in the run game to shed blocks. Like they're all, doing really well.
Rich Garcella.
Caden, what have you seen this spring from Sean and Christian at quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're both taking big leadership roles, really focusing on leading the team. They always have really good positive attitudes. And they're really like fueling our practices, I'd say.
Audrey Snyder.
Caden, when you guys look at kind of the run game last year, Kevon was telling us yesterday that you guys have really emphasized the run this spring. Do you agree with that? And why do you think you guys will be better in the run game this year?
Yeah, like I do think we've emphasized it. And I think that we're going to be better at it just because of the work that we're putting into it. Everyone's really focused on it. It's one of our main things that we want to attack this spring. And we have like our whole unit is just dedicated to it. So I feel like the only way to go is up.
Tyler Donahue.
Caden, you had a couple different guards next to you last season. Now you got Salim back next to you. What's it been like with Salim working at right guard, and what's your comfort level with him? Another guy who was away from the team because of an injury last season.
Yeah, so me and Sal are actually roommates. We've been roommates for like the past 2 years. So I'm extremely comfortable having Sal at right guard next to me. The stuff that we talk about on the field and off the field, it just makes our chemistry, I guess our chemistry, it makes our chemistry really good working together.
Mark Brennan.
Along those lines, can you tell us about Sal as a player? Because we haven't gotten to see much of him since he was out last year. Thanks.
Yeah, Sal's a hard-nosed, really technical guy. And it's really good having him at guard. Our double teams are really nice. In pass protection, we pass things off really well. And like I said, being roommates with him and really close friends with him throughout these past 3 years has just really built a bond between us.
Audrey Snyder.
Caden, what's maybe the most impressive play that someone's made on either side of the ball this spring? What kind of stands out to you?
It's a tough one. I'd say Mitch Tinsley's had some really good catches. Nick Singleton, on some of our runs in practice, he's done some pretty amazing things, like just hitting holes and taking off, things that you wouldn't expect or really, imagine that a running back could do in that situation. He'll find a way, and it's been really cool seeing stuff like that.
Andrew Destin.
Caden, following up about Nick Tarbert, and because of the rapport you guys have had over the last few years, he mentioned yesterday talking about how he's been working on his hands, working on his handwork, when rushing the passer. Have you noticed that in practice? And if so, what's kind of been different this year, considering you've gone against him the last few years? What's kind of been different in that aspect?
I mean, yeah, I guess he's just taking a different approach to it. He's been really active with his hands. He has a good strike, and that really starts, or that's like the secondary part of the rep, I guess. And I can really tell throughout his reps that he's taking a big focus to it.
Tyler Donahue.
Caden, you just mentioned Nick Singleton doing some special things. We heard from Kevon Lee yesterday. It really sounds like it's a motivated bunch in the running back room, including Coach Sider. How do you see that reflected on the practice field following those frustrations? And what have the freshmen maybe added to that mix?
I mean, I guess it's just new faces, new guys that are coming in and just ready to run. Same thing with our other guys like Kevon and Dev and all these guys. Like, everyone just has a really good outlook and a really good mindset towards improving. And I feel like that's why we're making so many good strides.
Audrey Snyder.
Completely different note, Caden, but you guys kind of launched into NIL last year, and obviously you had different. What did you, after kind of going one season, a name, image, and likeness, what would you take away from that experience?
It's just a really good thing for networking, I'd say. I met a lot of good business owners in State College and elsewhere. And it's just a really good networking experience for a college student. Yeah.
Mark Brennan.
Okay, one young D lineman we've heard a lot about from coaches and other players is Zane Durrant. Can you tell us kind of what he brings to the table? And could you imagine how difficult it is to come in and be kind of an impact player as a big guy, as a early enrollee like that?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, like, I don't think he has a lot of weight on his shoulders because he's so aloof. You know, he's such a fun, lighthearted guy, and that reflects on the field. He has a really high motor. He doesn't give up on plays. He's super active, and I feel like that's why he's such a impact so early. So just seeing him develop I feel like his development is gonna be crazy.
We have time for a few more. Joe Smeltzer.
Kane, you're entering your fourth season as a part of Penn State's football program. How would you say that your leadership skills and mindset or whatever have kind of developed just in the time you've been at Penn State?
I'd say that I'm not the most vocal, leader. I definitely speak up a lot when it's time. But since I've been here, I've been trying to work on just leading by example. And like when I do the right thing, like the younger guys, follow suit. And then in other situations, like when my voice is necessary, I use it. But definitely just, like knowing the time to say stuff, the tone, I guess, who I'm talking to, stuff like that. I've been really learning about since I've been here.
Tyler Donahue.
Caden, in what are the most notable ways has Landon Tengwall developed from year 1 to year 2 and now pushing for that starting role at left guard?
I'd say Landon has definitely taken a big mental step. He thinks differently about the game. His footwork and his hands are really improving. And I guess, at least O-line is like I guess all football is just development. And, he's taking a big effort in developing.